Okay. Hopefully this is all working well. So I'm going to test this on all the different platforms. For those of you that are coming to watch me build components, that will probably happen eventually. But for the most part, this is just me trying to get StreamYard working. So honestly, maybe I should have changed the title of this. Actually, I think I can. Testing StreamYard. I can even bring this up here so you can see what I'm up to. Slash building Quasar components. Maybe we'll update it to that and all the different platforms. Yeah, that's probably the right thing to do. Otherwise, people are going to come in here expecting whatever the title says. Let's save that. Whoa. All right. So now I just want to check that all the platforms are working. So let's jump into Facebook. Let's jump into YouTube. Let's jump into Twitter. And let's jump into, what's that other one called? Twitch. No, that's Twitter. TWIT. Look, somebody stole my name. Well, they didn't steal it. They had it before I did. We'll have to change that to Quasarcast Official. And let's go through here. Honestly, I probably shouldn't show you this stuff because it's probably got private things, at least on my Facebook one. Yeah, I should be streaming somewhere here. So let's give that a quick test. Right, looks like I'm live. I'll probably hear myself back. So let's just see if it works. All right, looks like that's working. Trey Mendes. And there I am live on Twitter. Ha! How cool is that? All right, man, this is working really, really well. Oh, and I got the little thing underneath the little ribbon thing. So that's cool. That's working. And that's working too. And now I should be able to get all of your comments directly on StreamYard. So let's go to the comment section. I don't have any comments yet, but I'm sure I'll have a bazillion of them. Just kidding. Now let's see if I can show myself up here. Once again, I'm just going to be mostly like playing around with this. There I am. And now let's go to side-by-side view. I probably won't do stuff like this. I think it's a little bit tacky, to be honest. I'll probably just switch between just my screen and then just myself. I don't really like the whole having myself like in a little circle at the bottom of the screen while I'm coding. I just feel like it's probably more a distraction than anything. I'd rather just bring up my whole video and talk to you rather than, try and do both at the same time. So that's that. Let's have a little play around here and see what else I can do. So I'll need to remember to remove that banner. I wonder if there's a hotkey for that. Yeah, because I don't want that banner there all of the time. That would be super annoying for people. And yeah, I think when I show myself, does it show? Yeah, it shows my name down the bottom there. So let's have a look at the different options here. Find one that's kind of more Quasarcasty in style. Yeah, that's probably good. And let's see what else we've got. You know what? I should show this on the top screen and then actually give you that so you can actually see what I'm doing here. Yeah, so there's overlays as well. I might actually create a quick overlay for Quasarcast. Yeah, this is going to ask me to upload a file. But that's probably for another time. I would just do something quickly with Canva, but it doesn't let you export PNGs unless you pay the full price. So I might end up just buying Canva eventually. We'll see what happens. This is looking pretty good to me. What other features do we have here? What does that logo look like? All right, so that just puts it up there in the top right. So maybe we could do something like this. I think I've got like a Quasarcast-ish logo. Yeah, maybe like that one. But I'd want to get rid of the background though. Let's just see what that looks like for now though. It won't even let me click on it. Right, cool. It's glitching out. Yeah, so I'd want that to kind of float a little bit better. Honestly, I don't think I even want the logo. Come on, that's just annoying. You guys don't want to deal with that. So let's get rid of that. It would probably be a lot nicer if every now and then but I'd have to do this manually. Every now and then I just have to show up that banner like this. So let's go with that tactic. Now, the last thing I want to do is check that I am going live on Facebook and that's working. So I am seeing the Facebook live stream on quasarcast.com official, which doesn't have any members because I literally just created it. Sorry, guys. I need to test this on the bottom screen because, obviously this is stuff that I can't really share. Quasar's got, it's not Quasar, sorry. Facebook has a lot of like personal related stuff. So I am seeing that in my Facebook group channel now. Let me try playing it. Yep, that's working. And now let's check it on the Facebook page. Live stream on quasarcast.com. Yep, that's working too. Cool. And later on down the line, I'll be able to cover LinkedIn as well. All right, so I don't think there's anything else that I need to go over. I can probably start building. Let me give you a little idea of the plan that I have going forward. Maybe I can sort of bring myself up here for while I'm talking about this. This is probably one of those rare situations where this would actually work really nicely. Yeah, something like that. Cool. All right, so if you look over, this is basically, it's very ugly, but a rundown of what I'm going to be doing over the next few months. And you can forget about these numbers here. I'll just tell you what they are. Basically, they represent 1 hour of work, and it's basically saying how long I think it will take to do that thing. And the idea is I was trying to figure out how long it would take me to finish this entire process and be able to get Quasarcast live and have a good amount of content to justify having Quasarcast live. But yeah, one of the things I'm going to be doing, these are a series that I'm going to build, and then I'll sell them so that I can at least make some money in the meantime before Quasarcast goes live. And then what I might do is say you get like a month free of Quasarcast if you buy one of these courses. I reckon that could be really cool. But today I want to work on the advanced component series. So I'm going to build a few components from scratch. So yeah, let's have a crack at that and see how everything goes. Man, these headphones are really sort of hurting my ears. I'll just put this down like that. Hopefully you can all still hear me okay. I'll just point that more towards my mouth. Cool. It's a bit uncomfortable, but I'll get used to it. I might have to get one of those clip-on mics. Except with a clip-on mic, you kind of need better noise reduction in the room. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Zoom in a little bit here. By the way, quick tip, one thing that I often do before I do videos, I won't do it now because it's a live stream, but I often say unclutter, and then I'll say -- idle. Well, let me just come down here and change it back to one screen. There we go. Idle, I think it's one dash actually. Idle is equal to 0.4 seconds, for example. And there we go, I've done that wrong. Don't want an equal sign there. And then what that basically means is that if my mouse is idle for half a second or so, it disappears. So that's really helpful when you're doing videos and you basically want to make sure that you can cut things really easily, because otherwise the mouse is over here and then you do a cut and it's over there and it looks really, really bad. So that's like a little trick I like to do, but it doesn't make sense in a screencast, so I won't do that for now. So let's go Quasar, create, and just start having a play around with these components. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to have a component series that that uses the composition API. And a lot of the base components I've built are not using the composition API. So I thought, hey, let's spend some time figuring that out. So how about we call this base components? Am I already using that name? Yeah, I should probably check that first. CD base -C. No, it looks like I'm not. Cool. I love that I don't have to add the next flag. It's just the normal one now because we're on Quasar version 2. So let's just call this base components. I'm about to sneeze. Woo! There it goes. By the way, if somebody wants to send a comment just to let me know that the comment thing is working, then go ahead and do that. Let's see if I can post a comment. Comment. Oh, and it shows that that comment was posted on all the different platforms. Nice. And then I can click on it and show it on the screen. That's really, really handy. And now let me get rid of that banner. This will take some getting used for. I don't want to waste people's time with like messing around with all this stuff in the future. But now let's call this base component library to make Quasar. Awesome. And then author luke@ldbot.com. I should probably start using luke@quasarcast.com now that I have that email. But anyway, Sass with SCSS, that's fine. TypeScript, no. Vuex, maybe no, because these are going to be base components. It wouldn't make sense to use Vuex. And Axios, also no. These are base components. So all we're going to need is the ESLinter. I'm going to use standard, not prettier. Yes, we will use yarn. And then once that's up and running, I'll open it up. And the first thing I like to do is set up my linting. So we'll go ahead and get that done. Not too difficult to do your linting related stuff with the new version of Quasar. I'm also excited about when I start a new project with version 2, I find that a lot of the auto completion is working a lot nicer now, which is really cool. So let's just give this a second to run, and then I'll CD into my base components directory. Almost there. CD base components, open that in Visual Studio Code, and I'll probably have to zoom in a little bit more for you. Go ahead and do that. Yep, I reckon that's pretty good. Now, people are always getting on my case about line height, so fine. I will remove some of the line height. What is it? Line height 44. So let's try changing that to like 38, see what that does. That's reduced it a little bit, so we'll do that instead for the line height. Cool. All right, let's carry on. The next thing I'm going to do, I can probably jump out of this now. Before I start the server, I like to do my ESLinting stuff first because the ESLinter usually catches a problem that in one of Quasar's default files. What do I do here? I like to enable View 3 recommended instead of essential, just because it does a little bit of extra formatting for me as well, which I really, really like. Let's run Quasar dev now, and we should get one problem with our linter. Got a second to run. I don't even need that left pane open, to be honest. So let's just close it off. And we're using the new version of Webpack 4, so this should be running pretty fast now. Cool. That's what I expected. Let me just pull StreamYard out. I'm gonna set up my I need to make sure that I've got my hotkey set up for Chrome properly. That. Cool. I just need to be able to switch between applications quickly. And sometimes if I don't open Chrome the right way, then it switches to StreamYard instead. Anywho, not important. Now let's jump out of full screen here, whack that on that side, throw that over there. And then we want to jump into this component that's giving us problems. It's the error one. So if I save that now, it's automatically going to lint it. And then we should be getting green. Cool. Nice. Now we can go ahead and get started. So how about we just create a new component, Quasar new component. And I'm going to start with one of my favorite components, which is the base component. So let's say I might start everything with a B. So B for base. And let's call it, what was I saying? Base component. I mean dialog button component. So B dialog button. And honestly, I could probably remove the B for something like this. No, because I want to sort of prefix all of these so that we know that it's part of my base component library. So let's go ahead and run that and then jump into that. B dialog button. And then we might go to the index page to begin with. Later on, I'll probably do pages for each of my components. And then we'll come in here and say B dialog button. Will that auto import all right? Yes, sometimes my auto importing does some wacky stuff. So it's good to see that's working fine. Cool. Now we can control click that. And this is going to be a Q dash button. And basically the idea is when you click on this button, it's automatically going to open whatever is inside of it, which is really, really cool. So let's just do an example of how you would use this. And I can come in here and say the content. So save that. Come back over here. And then what we're going to do is basically have a slot here for the default content. So I can say hashtag default. And I think that's it. So let's just save it and see if it works for now. I have to refresh the page. Oh, not vslot. What am I doing? Hashtag default. Oh, okay, so it's defaulting it back to vslot. So if I do nothing in there, does it assume it's default? Okay, that must be like a View 3 related thing. Right. Cool. So I can just do a slot if I want my default slot. Good to know. So next, this is going to be a dialog. So let's say Q dash dialog to use Quasar's dialog component. And the idea is whenever we click on this button, it shows the dialog. So let's say @click equals handle clicked. Now we get to use the comp API. Woohoo! Handle clicked is equal to a function. And basically we want to toggle. Let's do a reference to, can I auto import ref? Is that going to work? Okay, let's just see if this works. We'll call this probably because I did that wrong. Const show dialog is equal to a ref. No, not going to come up. Ah, bugger. Anyway, to false by default. Maybe when I save it, it'll auto import. Nah, that's right. Okay, I'm gonna have to import this manually. Maybe later on I can find like a plugin that handles this nicely for me. Ref from view. Nice. Now we want both of these to be exposed. And then we can say show dialog. Now I want to not use dot value to see if it automatically fixes that for me. So show dialog is equal to the opposite of what it currently is. Show dialog with an exclamation mark. Yes, and it automatic. Oh, okay, I didn't add it here though. Show dialog dot value is equal to that. That's all right. Better than nothing. Okay, so now what we want to do is model that here. So v dash model is equal to show dialog. That should work now. Save it. And there we go. The content is showing up. Now I like to put this in a Q dash card by default. So now we just get that white background. Now the other thing I like to do is make it so that you can show a toolbar if you would like. So let's go ahead and enter and do some of that functionality. And I'll do that directly within the card like this. So Q dash toolbar, and then we'll say v dash if is equal to show toolbar. So what we can do now is have a default prop that's going to be false by default to say whether or not we want the toolbar to show. So let's say props show toolbar is going to be equal to, well, first we'll say it's a Boolean. Default will be false. Right, so let's save that and see how that works. All right, we get nothing. But if we come back here into index.view and say show dash toolbar, save it, let's see what happens. All right, we're now getting that toolbar. Now, I think I almost always want to have a close button for the toolbar. So I'd rather have that on by default and then give them the option, give the user the option to toggle it on or off. So let's come in here and say Q dash title. You want to have a title there. And how about we set the text here to the toolbar's title? We can say, for example, toolbar title like that, just so we can use some properties to do some defaults really easily here. Type is equal to a string, and the default will be equal to nothing at all, but we'll enforce it to be a string by making it an empty string there. Now let's see what that does. It's not Q dash title, it's Q dash toolbar dash title. Whoop, let's try that. All right, so now let's see what happens if we say toolbar, maybe text. Toolbar text or toolbar title? Let's say title because technically it is a title. All right, I'm not getting anything showing up in there. Let's try a refresh. Nothing showing up. What am I doing wrong? So we've got the toolbar title. It's being slotted directly in there. Oh, I didn't actually set it to anything. My title. Let's save that and see if it works okay. Nice. Okay, we're getting a toolbar title showing up. Next, I might actually close this out so I get some more room. Let's have a button as well for closing it. Q dash button. And let's set this to an icon, actually, I think. Icon is equal to, and I like to use the MDI icon library, so I might actually come into quasar.conf.js, come to my icon library here and enable MDI version 5 and change this. We can actually remove that, material icons. But then there's like a mapping section, I think, as well. Yeah, so we want to change our icon set to MDI-version 5, I think it is. Let's just check that's correct. And it is. All right, so let's give that a crack and see if it works. MDI-close, I believe is what it's called. So let's refresh the page here. Now we get that close button. Bit of styling, flat, rounded. Instead of rounded, let's go round. I always make that mistake. Nice. All right, so when we close that, we want it to close the overlay. So let's say v-close, and I think it's pop up. Remember it changed in 0. whatever to version 1. Yep, all right, that's working for us now. And I think that's about it. Now, let me show you a quick tip. Sometimes you might want to change that. I like to have 3 levels of control when I have slots in my components. So at the moment, you can come in here and you can change things using attributes, right? So we can go ahead and change, for example, the toolbar title and whether or not we want to show it using this attribute. And then we might have another one, for example, that says show dash close dash button, or maybe even just close button. That's probably enough. Even show toolbar, that's probably a bit verbose. We could probably just say toolbar. Maybe show toolbar, but close button. Show close button? I don't know. Yeah, let's stay consistent here and say show close button. All right, so now we could come in here and then say show close button required false type Boolean, and then we'll give it a default equal to true. By default, we're going to have a close button because you almost always want to have a close button there. And so then we can come in here and say v-if show close button, open this up, and we get that close button. But now we can set that equal to false if we would like. Oh, so really this should be hide close button. That actually makes a lot more sense if it's going to be showing by default. So hide close button, false by default. Right, so let's set that to false. Yeah, I think this is good. I close button. Let's see if that works. So if I enable it now, so if I add that flag in, it should no longer show the close button. All right, it's not working, so let's refresh. And I might have to check my logic here. Hide close button. Here it is here, hide close button, required false, but we are adding it in, so it should be utilized. V-if not hide close button. I bet you caught that. Let's give that a check, and there we go. No close button, but by default, we are actually going to show it. All right, I think that's really nice. The next thing I want to have is something. Oh, actually, let me continue down that other line of thought. I think this is an important thing to share. So I like to have 3 ways that you can access the component so that you can make it as easy as possible to use. So to me, this is super, super easy to use. If you want, you have none of that at all, and you have a very basic dialogue that just shows your content. If you want to go a little bit more advanced, though, you can then start throwing in these attributes like showing the toolbar and having a close button for the toolbar. Now, I like to have another option where you can be even more granular. So let's say here, no adders, and then we can say, or we might even say props. That's probably a better word for it. So it'll work with no props, and then we can say customize with basic props. The reason I say basic there is because a lot of people like to go overboard at this point and add in too many properties here. And if you add in too many properties, then your component starts to get a little bit convoluted, and it reaches a point where it can do too much. And so the way I battle that, though, is by saying you can customize with basic props, and then I say you can add your own props. Okay, that's the next level. And then the final level is, instead of you, let's say can add your own props. And then we'll say can replace with a slot. All right, so we've already done no props. That's going to work for the dialog button. Gives us a sensible default. Customize with basic props. So if we like, we can add in some props to mess around with the toolbar and maybe do some other stuff that we might want to do to the dialog button. Then can add your own props. Now, by that, I mean, if you want to customize, for example, the toolbar, I like to add, for example, toolbar dash props. All right. And so I want to be able to say, for example, toolbar props, and then add a class where the background is blue and the text is white. Okay, that is a classic example of where I might want to tap into that toolbar. So obviously that doesn't work by default, and I can't actually tap into this toolbar. But now that we've got this toolbar props, we can come up here and say, for example, toolbar props required false type object, and the default is going to simply return an empty object. I like to have defaults like this. It makes it really easy to develop your application if you know it's going to be an object and you have an object by default, because then you don't have to deal with things like null or undefined scenarios. All right, so now let's take in these toolbar props and then smack them right into the toolbar itself. So props is equal to toolbar props. And there we go. All right, so let's refresh the page just to check if this is going to work. And it didn't work, which is totally fine. There's probably just something wrong. Oh, not props. It's meant to be v-bind is equal to toolbar props. Try that. And there we go. We've got that extra little level of granularity there where we can add a little bit of more customization if we really like. I think that's a really nice way to develop. It means that I can basically say, look, this is how I want the toolbar to look. But if I want to go a little bit further and customize things, by customizing the toolbar props, I can do that if I want to. You might even want to add another one here, for example, toolbar button props, but to me, that's might be reaching the point where it's overkill. So I'm going to stop there in terms of functionality. If you do want more functionality, that's where you go to this last step here, can replace with a slot. So let's come up here and make it so that you can replace the toolbar entirely with a slot. So in here, I'm going to say, for example, template, and then I'll come in here and say toolbar, right? And then we can say Q dash toolbar. So we're manually going to add our toolbar. Or maybe we should just do the content of the toolbar. That might make more sense. No, let's do the entire toolbar. Because by this point, if you're going this far, then you probably want total control here. So let's get rid of all of that. And imagine we want to do something like this. We want to do our own toolbar from scratch and say my manual toolbar. All right, save that. By default, this is going to do nothing at all. So we're back to kind of square one where we just get our content. Now let's make it so that we've actually got this slot in place. And it's actually so easy to do using Vue. Check this out. We can simply say here, grab the entire, oh, not the toolbar title, the entire toolbar, Control Shift Enter, and I'm going to wrap that inside of a slot. And now this slot is going to have a, what did we call this? We called it toolbar. So this slot has a name equal to toolbar. Let's save that. And there we go. It works. Simple as that. Now we can do our own manual toolbar if we would like to. However, I like to go one tiny step further here because what if we still want to add our own props here? So what if we want to say, for example, toolbar dash props is equal to, right? So that example that we had before, and then we have our class where the background is blue and the text is white. So let's save that and see if that's going to work. Give it a go. It doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is these toolbar props have not been added onto this slot here. So what I like to do to go one step further is say v-bind toolbar props on the slot itself as well. Right, now check this out. Hopefully this will work. I know it worked in Vue too. Looks like it doesn't. That's all right. It's good to know though. Let's have a little play around and see if we can actually get this working. Toolbar props. I'm definitely passing them through there. Let's save this and save that again. Maybe do a page refresh. Just want to knock all of those things out of the way as possible reasons that it's not working. Now let's do a bit of research here. Add attributes to slot view 3. Just trying to think what could be causing that to not work. And unless I'm doing something blatantly wrong here. By the way, always feel free to send a comment through if you think you know the answer here. I'm just trying to think. Probably a slight variation that I need to do here in order to get it to work. Like maybe something to do with scopes. No, because I don't want to be able to pull out the scope. I basically want to say the thing within this slot automatically applies them to what's sitting inside of it. But maybe that's simply not possible. I could have sworn that it was with the other version of Vue, though. Let's give that another go. Then I need to go to the toilet soon. So we'll give that a second to load up. If it does work, though, this will be insanely cool because I like to have this extra little level of functionality. v-bind, let's do that there. Okay. So that's binding something directly, like binding an attribute to the slot. Is this view 2 though, or is this view 3? Oh, I'm on view 2. All right, so let's try this for view 3. Go to the top here and look at slots on view 3. If we can get this going. V-bind. All right, so it looks like we don't actually have that example in view 3. Destructuring slot props. Hang on, so do we not have to use template anymore? Hmm. Interesting. All right. So I might finish up this stream soon because we've covered most of it, but this is nice because it means that I've got something I can share in my next stream when I figure this out. I know one thing that you can do is basically pass things, basically accept here the toolbar props. So basically pass them through, but I don't want to do that. I want to be able to directly put it straight onto this toolbar component without doing any extra work. But anyway, I can think about that in a future stream. Cool. Looks like this actually went pretty well. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to doing another stream in the future. Oh, and now I can add this banner in and say, check out quasarcast.com if you're interested in videos like this. Register an account there. And then when I start finishing up some of these videos, I can start posting them on there and you can go ahead and check them out. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. And I will see you in a future broadcast. Bye for now.